Right, Comic-Con. New York Comic-Con, I'm with Justin Jordan.
Hello.
My old friend and writer of Luther Strode, Spread, and John Flood. Now, these are basically your latest books, and what I've always liked about them is how incredibly direct and no bullshit your take on genre writing is. You just go straight up, ruthless, direct storytelling with no padding whatsoever. So tell us about, first of all, Legacy of Luther Strode, which is the third series in Luther Strode. Is it the third in a trilogy? Will there be any more after that?
No, I mean, it is the third and final book in the trilogy. We've thought about doing like a Strode-verse kind of book where we tell some of the other stories in the universe, but Luther's story in particular is done with it'll be the 18th issue, but it'll be issue 6 of Legacy of Luther Strode. So there's a definitive resolution to that story.
Ah, right. So now on to John Flood. Can you talk about what inspired John Flood, where that's going?
Insomnia. I used to have bad problems with insomnia, and I don't. If people have had problems with insomnia, if you're up for a couple of days, you get really weird. So I started thinking about what it would be like to live your life that way, and I also started to think about basically biologically you need to sleep. If you're kept awake long enough, you'll just die. I tried to think about what would you need to do to a person to make it so that they could never sleep. And what I came up with, which is not based in any actual real science, is the idea that their brain would need to be kind of in a constant REM state, which in John Flood gives you somebody who lives life as if it's a waking dream. So he's not readily able to discern between reality and fiction. And it was an interesting way for me to kind of do that sort of stuff with, like, you know, kind of the dream logic you get in like Italian giallo movies a bit, and David Lynch stuff. I was trying to nod towards that, like not full bore because my mind doesn't work that way, but I wanted to do a little of that. So that was a good framework for doing that. Yeah,
because there's a nice, clear cinematic feel about your stories without having to be geeky about making references all the time.
Yeah.
You can read a Justin Jordan comic and it is a good, direct cinematic story without all kinds of meta references that can bog down a story. You're just telling a straight up direct pulp thriller story, which is what I think the main appeal of your books are. So lastly, let's talk about Spread.
Yeah, Spread is basically the manga Lone Wolf and Cubs, but we're set in the world where John Carpenter's The Thing ate North America. It's about a guy living in a world that has been consumed by sort of a invading ecosystem. It's an entire kind of ecosystem, and he finds a baby who's actually capable of killing this stuff. But since he's out here alone in the middle of the wasteland, he has absolutely no idea what to really do with her. So he's kind of desperately trying to keep her alive while he finds some way to maybe use her to save the world. So it's babies, badasses, and monsters.
Marvelous. Justin Jordan, always a pleasure.
Thanks, Adi.
Thanks.